everyone, and welcome to Tal Talks. We have a very special guest today for our medieval March edition. This is someone who it has been doing a lot online lately that I hope that a lot of you will get to see. Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Paulo Garbanzo. Usually a juggler, but now I'm the dungeon master for Nat21 Adventures. So, yes, hi, I'm Paulo Garbanzo, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff online for 9-10 months now.
I know. Seems like it's never ending, right?
Yeah, well, we can get into that.
So do you want to start out by explaining what you actually do at run fairs when there are run fairs?
Sure. Well, yeah, I'm mostly a juggler and comedian. I like to think I'm funny. And so that's basically, a little bit of acrobats, mostly juggling, and a lot of wacky danger juggling. So that's to sum it up. That's what I pretty much do. I like to say that my show is a little bit more, I'm not going to say, I think it'd be too much if I said it was cerebral, but it's a little, there's some out there humor that's like a little bit more than just your average, like, I don't know. I'd like to say it's a little bit better, not better. It's just different because I know there's plenty of people who have like basic straight up jokes and they kill, right? And I'm kind of like, I want to be a little more esoteric. And so I go off on these weird tangents and most of the time people follow me. I mean, I have a big enough crowd of people who are like, I really like that sort of weird off the wall humor, and they go with it. Other people are kind of like, I don't really get it, but I mean, he's a good juggler, so all right. So they
give it to you.
Yeah,
sometimes you have political commentary and
every once in a while.
Yeah, and other things.
I like to, well, I never like to comment directly because I do try to keep a bit of a distance between reality and like a current political situation. But I can also make fun of political systems.
Yeah.
While not saying anything directly, but then like you're like, oh, you're talking about like the military industrial complex or whatever. It's like in some weird off the wall. I talk about Davinci making weapons about the system, and you're like, ha, wait, that was kind of funny. Wait, now I have to think about it. Hang on. So yeah,
because you'll have the parallels between now and
like I say, sometimes to my own detriment, I like to make those jokes. So I think I could. I
have always found you very funny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And since you sometimes hire me, I find that great. So I wish I was available for more of your shows. I would totally be there in a heartbeat.
I know you're like the most busy person ever.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
always doing stuff all over the place. So speaking of being busy, you have been doing a ton of stuff online, like we mentioned, and there's this thing that you've been doing called Nat21 Adventures. Do you want to explain what that is?
Sure. What it currently is me and several other Renaissance Fair performers, including some that have worked at the Mass Ren Fair. Roger Awesome, we got Shakespeare, all sorts of other performers. Actually, and I believe Damo Ignis has performed at your festival. I'm not sure, maybe fire performer. Anyway, and one of our performers is a washroom well wench, and so it's all performers from the Renaissance Fair, from various Renaissance fairs from all across the country, people that I know, and I also have played D&D with them, Dungeons and Dragons. For those who don't know what D&D stands for, and we for years we've played Dungeons and Dragons, and I've always been like, man, we should we're funny, when you play D&D with 5 performers, you tend to A, not get a lot done game-wise, but B, you do actually laugh a lot, and so I was like, man, we should have a show, and I'm not, I never try to be like, oh, we're totally, we're totally Critical Role, but that's a different animal. We're all improv performers who have a system. which is Dungeons and Dragons. And we all love Dungeons and Dragons, and we all love Ren fairs. And so I was like, well, we should be putting a show together. And I've said this for years, but I've never really had the opportunity because, of course, what I wanted to do was have everybody at a fair together, have 3 really great cameras, which are, $8,000 a piece, and all this lighting and all the sound equipment that goes along with it. And all these great dreams of this. And it was like, well, what I need is $55,000. So not really having that much money lying around. I was like, oh, well, so when the pandemic started and we were cut off from our food supply, let's say, from our jobs, I was like, well, I am out of work. I'm pretty sure all of my other Renaissance Fair performers or friends are out of work. Now's the time to get them to come and do this thing. And basically what needed to happen was everyone needed to have good internet, camera, they needed to have their own things. So suddenly I was like, this is in the realm of possibility because I only need to have one good camera, one good microphone. And so we got a core group of players to play D&D. We play on Twitch, live on Twitch. We show it later on Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel and all that jazz. And we started up literally a month after the pandemic started. So it was April that we started. And I just literally looked back at our very first episode and wow.
Learned a lot.
Yeah, we've done a Tuesday weekly episode every single week. We took 2 weeks off between. So I ended up actually doing the Pennsylvania show in September, October, which, by the way, for anybody concerned, they did a really great job.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures with the masks and distancing and everything. Yeah, looked good.
The performers, we all just kept our distance. No, we couldn't do any volunteers in our show. So we were on stage alone, away from the audience. Everybody kept their distance in the audience. So it worked. It functioned. And hey, all props to the Pennsylvania Fair because they were like, hey, if our performers all are out of work, they might not be here next year.
And I've been seeing that a lot. There are a lot of performers that have given it up already. Musicians, a lot of musicians specifically, a lot of bands have been, because you end up with, you have 5 or 6 people in a band and you lose 3 of them. You don't have a band anymore.
Right. Yeah. And you got to form a new band, try a new thing. Who knows? So I want to just, give a big shout out and praise to the Pennsylvania Fair for employing everybody that they employed, because I know that they weren't making the money that they usually make. Yeah. And, because they did have to cap their numbers fairly low. They probably literally just broke even. I mean, I don't know the specs, but they probably literally just broke even off of all of their costs to run a festival. And it was really just done pretty much to keep us alive. Yeah. So, thanks.
And I know a lot of us coming up with our fairs are capping the numbers also, and doing a lot of different things than what we're used to. I know New Jersey is capping their numbers, and we're going to be doing the same thing, but we're not until August, so we're hoping things are not as bad.
I feel like, like July, I think, is when, that's just my
we'll see.
Optimistic hope is that, hopefully things will start happening. So who knows?
Sorry. I was going to say, totally unrelated to this conversation, but the earlier one, you talked about how your Nat21 has been sort of growing and changing, and I'm noticing the crazy set behind you. Do you want to tell us what's going on with all that?
So currently, all right. So I actually went to college for set design.
It's such a crazy thing.
Yeah. So. And really, and actually to kind of back that story up, I went there because I was already a juggler, and I wasn't fully professional as a juggler, but I was already juggling and kind of doing some shows. And I was like, oh, if I go to college, so my mom was like, you got to go to college. And I was like, well, okay, but what am I going to take? And so I was like, well, I want to take theater. She was really thrilled with that. But I said, no, I'm going to take the technical theater, because then, you're you've got other skills like building and set design, all those sort of things. So I went for set design. I basically, so I got a knowledge of how to run lights and how to do sound and build sets and paint and do all that sort of stuff. And so I happen to own a set of theatrical lights. And so like, these are not like, these are for stage lights. These are for like a big set, so, but fortunately they're LEDs. So they like change colors and do all sorts of stuff. So the thing is, backing the story up, but this is a set that we built for, so as the dungeon master, I've got the set behind me. And so this is the set for the whole show. It's a set piece, kind of tells, it's like the theme of the show.
Yeah.
For the night. And so our main group of performers have been having this crazy time where they are fighting with and joining up with a group of warlocks who are run by a Minotaur mummy lady. So in Dungeons and Dragons, there's a mummy lord. So it's like there's a mummy, but then there's a mummy lord, which is way more. But there's no lady to that lord. So I was like, well, clearly there's got to be a mummy lady. But she is also a minotaur. So long story. So she's been kind of like in this adventure world for a while, but now they're actually face to face with her. And so this has been our set for the past few weeks because we're all still dealing with this person. But the great thing about having real theater lights, and of course, here's the thing. Sure, you could green screen all of this, but you don't have quite the fun of dealing. I had the props. I had the columns. I had the peacock feathers. I had the lights. I had to build the set. And so you can like go under the sea. You could be like, here, like some blue and green. Ooh, it's under the sea. And then you could be like, rectus, dominus. You could do, man. And then, because LEDs, man, you can do anything. And then we're like, oh, no, this is here. Right. I'm trying to hit the button. Here we go. All right, there we go. So now we got the blue background, like underwater. Anyway, so yeah, we're in the sky. And then we can like, oh, yeah. That's what it really looks like. Anyway,
that's very bright.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So I've been building more sets to do the show. We've made videos. We made some crazy videos that really don't make any sense unless you've been watching the whole show. So
you gotta use your degree, like put that degree to good use.
Actually using my degree. So, and it's funny because unbeknownst to a lot of people, I've actually built a few of the stages that I perform on at Renaissance fairs. And I don't really tell anybody. I mean, there's nobody to tell. But I'm like, yeah, I built this stage and no one will believe that. They're like, you're a juggler. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually what my college degree is in.
Hey, maybe you could come build some stages for us.
There you go. Just let me know.
Extra stuff to do.
Yeah,
I've seen you juggle a lot of different things and different amounts of things.
Yes.
And I've seen you balance on things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, what's the most difficult trick that I don't know, performance, not exactly trick, but what's the most difficult thing that you do?
Technically, I would say honestly that, so like 5 knives is probably the most technical juggling thing that is the most difficult. Because they are very heavy and pretty much anything that goes wrong, which means 2 knives colliding in midair, which are spinning at a high velocity, are gonna fly.
Yeah.
They are gonna ricochet off each other, and then you have multiple knives. Now, when you're dealing with like say 3 and 2 collide in the air, you have 1 in your hand, and you can bat the other ones away if they're coming at you, but there's only 2 wild projectiles. You start with 4. You might have 1 in your hand. You might have 2 in your hand. And maybe only 2 projectiles. Probably 3. But when you have 5 in the air, you might have 1 in your hand. You might have 2 in your hands. But you definitely have 3 very heavy, sharp projectiles all going different directions and at different velocities. So it's not that it's not the, because the juggling itself is mechanical and very like, it's got to be done right. And any small degree of miss, you throw that just slightly off to one side and you've wrecked the entire pattern because there are so many things in the air. Yeah. So 5 knives, honestly, is probably like the most difficult and dangerous thing that I do. And I do 5 torches and I can do that on the ball. So I'm balancing, standing on a walking ball, also juggling 5 torches, which has some of the same possibilities of going wrong, but weirdly getting hit by a torch, I have to say, kids, getting hit by a torch, honestly, not actually as bad as getting hit by a knife. But I also put this caveat. I always wear leather or all natural fibers.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, if you're wearing nylon and playing with fire, it will melt to your skin.
Yeah.
So that's not fun. Don't do that. That's my safety advice to you. That's my gift.
Your gift is go ahead and play with fire, but make sure you're wearing
but safety precautions.
Right? Yeah.
These are all cotton, 100% cotton. Just make sure that, because it will burn eventually, but if you get hit by a torch, it will bounce off. Whereas if you get hit by a knife, which is a pretty heavy piece of steel, you can break a bone. So even if it doesn't slice you, it can actually injure you. So yeah.
Have you ever had a trick or a juggle mistake?
I've never had a serious mishap. I have to say the weirdest, because I also eat fire. Have I ever seriously burned myself? Yes. What was I doing? Eating a hot dog. That's my most severe tongue burn, was eating a hot dog.
Those hot dogs are dangerous.
Yeah, because they're in the thing, and then there's some liquid inside the center, and it's super, super hot, and you don't know it, and then you open it, you eat it, and then shoots, and then burns you.
It's like a hot pocket.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. It's crazy dangerous. Yeah, stupid.
So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about you have this Davinci Snow Cone Machine that is fairly elaborate, and I'm wondering if you could describe it and maybe talk about how you got into that, where it came from.
Well, yeah, so it's a really cool device that is a human-powered snow cone machine, and it is a 6-foot tall wheel made of wood that you get in and you run, and it turns these cranks and levers and slices ice, and then you make it go down a little thing, and it does all sorts of things. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah.
And you get to run inside of it. It has safety brakes and things like that, so it's very safe. And you eventually end up with a snow cone, and it is a hilarious thing. It's not just a snow cone. It's a ride. It's a bit of entertainment. We make a big show of it, of course, because I can't help it. And so I have some people who I've trained to do it, and they put on a big show, and kind of everybody gets a little show. It's a little ride. You run inside the wheel, you turn the cranks, you pull the levers, you do all the things, and boom, then you have a snow cone. And it's a ton of fun. Sadly, I have to say that because you touch all of the things, you put your hand on the thing, you pull it, put your hand on the lever, turn the thing, put your hand, and we don't have that much. We just don't have that much disinfectant, so it is currently in mothballs. I hate to say, but it'll
come back someday.
Yeah. I'm waiting. So it is a fantastic device. I did not invent it. A friend of mine did. He's a designer and engineer down in Florida, and I have to. I put in the headline, Florida man makes snow cone machine. So it's a fantastic. He's a amazing engineer, and so he built this. He's built several of them now at this point, and it's a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a great engineering, concept, and kids see it. They get involved with it. You can see adults, kids and adults. They're watching it, and they're like, oh my gosh, the thing turns the thing, and they're following it down. You can see the gears turning physically and mentally and and the most fun though is when some kid gets on there, and I mean, I've had, you're standing right there, you do the thing, and then they release the brake and they start running, and I've had this kid who was like, he just starts running and he just cocks his head back and yells, "This is the best thing ever!" and and it's like, okay, that's why I did this. So,
and then they get snow cones out of it,
and then you get a snow cone.
so it's just win-win.
Endorphin rush, sugar high, boom, like win. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, can't wait to bring it back to the fairs. Can't wait to have fairs again. So
yeah,
we're just waiting, biding our time.
Was there ever a performance that you felt nervous about, like it was really I don't know, big or something was weird about it?
Yes. Well, I have to say, like, the first time, it's funny because like the first time I've been juggling forever and ever and ever, and I kind of like get to this point where I'm like, sometimes I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm just going to go out there. I mean, like when I was doing the show one year in the Czech Republic, my props got lost in the luggage on the plane. So I literally show up and I'm like, I have no props. And I basically just went around and I was like, I'm still doing a juggling show. I went around the town and I got beer bottles and bananas and apples and I just borrowed a bunch of stuff. I chair and stuff, and I made a show happen. I made it happen. It was pretty crazy, but I made it happen. But the one I was nervous for was that I did actually perform at the Kennedy Center, and it was a pretty big deal. And I was like, I'm at the Kennedy Center, and I was like, better not mess this up. So I would say that, like, honestly, and it was like well into my career. So it was like 2000 and I don't know, probably like 2013, maybe. Is that long ago? I don't know, maybe. And so I was doing the thing, and yeah, I got hired to perform at the Kennedy Center. It was pretty wild. And I mean, I've done big shows. I used to be with the Flying Karamazov brothers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Travel all over the world. And yeah, there was like a few times where I was like, oh man, this is a really big, there's 10,000 people watching us, on a Jumbotron. Better not mess this up, But it's funny because I look back at those and I'm like, I don't think I was ever as nervous then as I was, because it's like your name is up there.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's you. You better not mess this up. And yeah, so it's like, and it's in their archives. It's in the Kennedy Center performance archives forever, or at least until there's no more electricity or internet or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but
an eventual sun death or whatever.
yeah, the eventual sun death of the universe. But otherwise, it's in their archives, so you can look it up. And yeah, so I'm like, oh man, don't mess this up. But
did you do well?
I did pretty good, and then I messed up this one little thing, and I kind of like came back from it. I made it fine. It was, but I was like, I just, it's that thing where you're like, I wish I hadn't.
It's gonna haunt you forever.
It's gonna haunt me forever. Clearly, it's gonna haunt me forever. So, but yeah, so
I am remembering a story that you told us a while back about one of I don't know if this is, but I'm gonna ask you a question. What is the strangest thing that you've juggled?
Oh, okay. Well, I do like to play the what is the weirdest thing Paulo Garbanzo's ever juggled game.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll play this game. And so I will say that, yes, it's still to this date. I'll give everyone watching at home a moment to think about it. Just pause the video. Think about what is the weirdest thing that I've ever juggled. Think about it. Pause. Come up with your answer. Okay. Now we're back. Okay. So now that you've had time to think about it, the answer is yes, you got it right. Human brains.
Yep.
Human brains. I was at the bodies exhibit, and it was a late night, so there was hardly anybody there, and it was just me and a couple other people. We were leaving, and there was this woman standing there at the exit, and she had a little table with a couple of human brains on it. And I walked by, and so for those of you who are familiar or unfamiliar with the bodies exhibit, it is where actual human bodies have had all the moisture removed, and it's been replaced with a plasticine of some sort. And so there's these human brains there, real human brains. And I walk by and I go, hey, you don't have another human brain, do you? And she goes, what are you going to do? Juggle it? And I was like, and she went, oh, really? Okay. And so she got down and pulls out another brain. And it was actually a baboon brain. So 2 human brains, 1 baboon brain. That's 3 brains. And yeah, so.
And the rest is history.
And I have to say, I'm probably the first person in recent history to juggle human brains, which I put that caveat because I assume that some weird jester on a medieval battlefield somewhere was like, oh, dude, I could juggle brains. You know?
I hope not.
So I'm going to say, like, in the past 500 to 800 years, I'm probably the first person to juggle human brains.
Yeah, I mean, you might be the only one that has. You never know.
I don't know. It's such, human brains being a commodity. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, edit this out.
That is the story that I was remembering. So when we went out to dinner.
Oh yeah.
It was fun. All right, so we have gotten to the part of the show where I'm going to make you do a tongue twister. This is right. Marf's tongue twister challenge. So what you've never seen it, and I'm going to post it in the chat, and then you need to try to say it as quickly as you can. Okay?
Okay.
Can you get to the chat?
I'm in the chat.
Okay, good.
Jubilant jugglers juggled jugs, jewelry, and jellyfish joyfully juxtaposed to justifiably jealous journeymen.
That's good for just reading it. Okay, can you do it fast?
Oh my gosh, you want me to do it like faster?
Yeah.
Okay. Jubilant jugglers juggled jugs, jewelry, and jellyfish joyfully juxtaposed to justifiably jealous journeymen.
Yay!
Should I do like 3 times fast or something?
You want to try again?
Okay,
that was fast.
I'm gonna do like 3 times. I'm just try to.
I'll just gonna be hilarious. Okay.
I'm gonna take this car and I'm gonna just
drive it right off. All right.
Jubilant jugglers, juggles, jewelry, and jellyfish joyfully juxtaposed to justifiably jealous journeyman. Jubilant jugglers, jugglified jugglers, jellyfish justifies justifiably journeyman. Jubilant jugglers,
Perfect. That was great. What did you think of my tongue twister?
That's great. Did you make that up?
I make new ones every month. Yeah, I just throw them in.
Fantastic. Love it.
Fan of alliteration. And we were talking about juggling, so I figured
that
would work out.
I love alliteration.
Yeah, me too. We got to have more language conversations.
Oh my gosh, I can tell you some great stories. But yeah.
Someday. All right, so you were able to complete my tongue twister challenge.
Yes.
So now if you could go ahead and tell everyone what you have going on. It's your advertising time that you have earned.
All right. Well, I am indeed actually scheduled to be at Sherwood Forest Fair this April.
Yay.
If it happens. So currently, we'll find out. Also currently scheduled to be at the Maryland Fair and at Texas Renaissance Fair in the fall. So we're really hoping that those all come together. And but what do I have going on every week? We have quite the Twitch channel. It is Nat21 Adventures on Twitch, and that's at Nat NAT #1 Adventures. We have shows Sunday through Thursday, and we have role-playing games Sunday nights. Tuesday night is our main adventure game. And then Thursday night, we're starting up a gothic horror gaming night. So if you're into it's going to be our Fright Night is going to be on Thursdays.
Yes, I have
Fright
to see
Night
that.
Now on a Thursday.
I definitely have to see that.
Yeah. And so some great people from Chase Treasure are in it. And some other performers as well. We got, I'm trying to think of anybody that you've hired in the past is in that show, but I don't know. So you'll have to go and look and find out, see if you know him. We use Arthur Rowan from Two Bard Party a lot. And so we have Sunday night shows, which is our Sunday side quest. Tuesday night is our Nat21 Adventures. And then Monday night, we have storytelling. Late into the evening, we have sci-fi fantasy storytelling, which is some original work. And sometimes we read Douglas Adams. We do just all sorts of stuff. Just come chat, hang out. And I feel like we're almost always on Twitch. But you can go see our schedule. It's up there. Wednesday nights, we have tarot readings by La Madame Onsa, who is a tarot reader and has written and actually created all the artwork for the World Spirit Tarot deck. And so she is out there giving readings and teaching about tarot. So you can check those out on Wednesday nights.
And she actually carves the pictures, and then
yes, it's all wood block carving, and 78 wood blocks into, to make each one of those cards. It took her several years.
Very cool looking.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. I love that deck. And that was before I married her. So yeah.
I would suggest to people watching that they should subscribe to your Twitch, because then they can get all the updates. That's how I end up watching randomly. I'll get an update. Oh, they're on Twitch right now. And then I just kind of pop in and I say things to you and you respond.
That's how that works. Yeah, if you can, hey, and you can follow us for free. You'll get the update that that says that we're going live, and just follow us. We are starting to actually get sponsors. So hey, this is my plea to everyone: go on to Twitch, follow Nat21 Adventures, because anytime we have an advertiser, they're like, "Oh, you have a lot of followers." So so that works.
If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free follow for anyone. So
that's right.
You can just give it to
throw that Amazon Prime Twitch thing over our way, and we'll give you a little shout out. Here's the thing: this game, our Dungeons and Dragons games are interactive, and so as you watch the game, you can actually give people hits, you can give them crits, you can give them failures. Which is usually pointed in my direction, as I'm the dungeon master most of the time. You can give them bonuses to hit. You can give them, you can give them advantage or disadvantage. And I tell you, it makes the game so much more fun, so much more interactive. When suddenly we're like rolling along, everything is fine. And then someone's like, hey, can I crit fail this thing so that this happens? And I'm like, absolutely. It is a fun, great time of improv, using Dungeons and Dragons as our matrix, as our mechanics, and it's a hell of a lot of fun, I have to say. And so yeah, join us. We have a great time.
And I will definitely join you.
Yes, and we're gonna have you on the show at some point. We're gonna get you in there.
Maybe if I have time, we'll give it a shot.
We'll get you on there, even if it's just for the Sunday side quest. We have a lot of people come in and out for those things, so
that would be fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it'd be great. We'll get you on there. Don't worry.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. And
absolutely.
I hope that everyone gets to see some Nat21, because it's really great.
Check it out.
And if, maybe you'll be juggling somewhere, and then they'll get to see that too.
We'll see what happens. All right. We'll let you know.
Bye, everybody.
Right. Hey, thanks. Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me. You're making that up. That's not a real German word. You're funning with me. And they're like, no, it's a handschuh. It's like, it's a shoe for your hand.